So in our last class, I think we stopped at can anybody remind us where we actually stopped in our last class?
It's how to put that video and audio
That is HTML,
under gallery.
HTML, video, and audio tag, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm really gonna miss my job.
All right. So tonight we'll be focusing on different tags. Remember what we are doing. We are still mastering HTML tags. And I told us that at this level, you are to master the tags before applying them on your design. So far, so good. We have explained some tags, starting from H1 tag, paragraph tag, image tag, video tag, audio tag, and I've also taught us how to create a downloadable button for your video, your audio, and images. So tonight we are looking at another set of tags. So let me create a file to represent that. So we are looking at list.html. So we're looking at list tags. So let me activate my HTML default file. So let me use comments to explain each of these tags that we are focusing on tonight. So like I said, we are looking at HTML listing tags. So that is our focus tonight. So let's start by defining what are these tags all about. When we say HTML listing tag, what does that actually mean? Now, HTML lists are used to present. They are used to present information in an organized and structured manner within a website. So that is the function of the HTML listing tag. There are a set of tags which are recognized as listing tag. Now, just to bring it down to a layman understanding, for example, you are building a website for a client and the person have given you the lists of their services. For example, we offer the following services: web development, computer parts sales, whatever it is. So how are you going to publish that in a website? You are going to need this set of tag called listing tag to be able to present such information in a structured and organized manner. Don't forget what I told us from the beginning. All these tags we are learning individually. They have their primary purpose, even though at times you can twist them for something else. There are reasons why each of these tags are established, and we must recognize that. So like the explanation that I just gave now shows that if you want to list item in your web page, you need this set of tag. So let me give Flourish some minutes to join back.
I lost network. I'm back, sir. Thank you.
All right. So I was explaining that each of these tags that we are referring.
So I didn't complete the meaning of the HTML listing.
I said HTML listing tags are used to present information in an organized and structured manner. Let me repeat for the last time. HTML listing tags are used to present information in an organized and structured manner. Have you gotten it now? Is it clear?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so please, what we need to do is to be jotting short notes. Later, you can still go through the video and make your comprehensive notes so that we can work with the design speed. Okay, so I was trying to give us an overview on when to use this set of tags we are talking about. So remember the scenario I cited before the network disconnected you. I said, supposing you are building a website and you are given the list of services you are to publish in that website. For example, DigiTech Hub offers the following services. It means that you are about to list the services. So in that case, you need HTML listing tag so that you can arrange those items in an organized or structured manner, either horizontally or vertically. But the main focus of these tags are to be used to list item vertically in a web page. So that is to explain what HTML listing tag is all about. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is the types of HTML listing tag. The types of HTML listing tag. Types of HTML listing tags. So we actually have 3 unique HTML listing tag, such as we have what we call the order list. We have the order list tag, and then we have the on order list tag. And then we also have the third one, which is called definition lists tag. So these are the 3 major types of HTML listing tag. Now, each of these types have their requirement as in when to use them, depending on how you want the item to be listed in your web page. That will determine whether you are to use order list, or you are to use on order list, or to even use the definition list. The whole of this evening class, I'm dedicating it for this set of tags because these are like principal tags that have sub tags. So we are not just focusing on the principal tag, we are also going to talk about the sub tag under this major tag. So let me start with the order list. Order list. Let me start with the order list. Now, order list, as the name implies, remember we talk about organizing your listing. So order list as the name implies, uses a more organized structure to arrange your item, and it is denoted with OL tag. So this is the tag name to initiate order list. So anytime you want to use or you want to list your item orderly, that is number 1, number 2, A, B, C, D, Roman figure 1, Roman figure II. That is a unique order. So each time you want to list your item in that order, then you are to use order list. Now, what that OL will do for you is to define the marker. If you are conversant with Microsoft Word, what we are calling order list and unorder list is simply what we know there as bullet and numbering. So what we know there as numbering that help us to number our lines of entry is called order here. What you know there as bullets, like using artistic shape or icon to itemize your item or to differentiate your item, it is called unorder list here. So which means that, for example, if I am to create list of 5 programs that we offer, and how do I want to present them on my web page? So I'm going to start with OL and then hit enter. So in other words, this OL that I just tapped now becomes a container that need to be expanded because you are about to list the item. So what this OL will give us is just to determine, is to generate the 1, 2, 3. That is what you achieve with the OL. Now, if you run this site now on the browser, you will notice that it's not going to mention any item because you have not used the main listing tag. So that OL is just to so the OL that I type is not to mention the item. The OL is just to define the marker. And until it finds item, is not going to make any impact. So what you did, you just created a container that is expecting the item to be mentioned under it. So to mention the item, you use LI. That is the main list tag that we're talking about. LI is to call the item. But you cannot start with the LI until you have created a container either with OL for order list or UL for unorder list or DL for definition list. So now this particular tag that I initiated is just to mention those items. Number 1, we offer web development. Web development. Then if I want to mention another item, I'll press enter. And I am calling all these lists inside the OL as the main container. So I will say we'll also offer AutoCAD. Once I'm done with that, I'll mention another one with the same LI. Then I will say graphics design. Graphics design. Then let me still mention more. We also offer desktop publishing. We also offer cyber security. Then finally, we offer data analysis. So if I check my user end now to see how all these items are organized, like we defined it. You see them. So I have listed this item using the HTML order list. It is the OL that generated the 1, 2, 3 you are seeing. Then the LI is the one that created the content. So you need to understand that. Is that clear to us? Is it clear to you, please? I want to. It's clear, right? Okay, go ahead with your question. Make sure you are concentrated.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay.
The network. I told you to
Please, use one.
I told you a good network. Your network is breaking. I may not give you time to ask questions. Get an alternative network. You should know the network that works in your area.
Sir.
Your network is breaking.
Okay, sir. I got a router, but I've not yet worked on it.
I'm hearing you better.
So, what if you don't want to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Okay, so just keep following. Just keep following. I will get to that aspect. I will answer that question in a moment with the next stuff I want to explain. But at least you understood how we got to this place, right? We opened the L and expanded it, and then for us to measure the item, then we call the LI. So this is order list. Now, there is what we call order list. Is what we call order list attributes. Is what we call order list attribute. Order list attribute, remember, I must have established that at the beginning, that when you are working with HTML tag, there are what we call attributes. Attribute provide additional information about that very tag you are working with. Now, like the question you asked now, that question demands that you should explain the OL more. So therefore, we need an attribute to give us additional information about the OL. And the additional information we want the attribute to provide us is to change the list marker from 1, 2, 3, that is number, to alphabet number, or to Roman figure or Roman number. To do that, by default, each time you create the OL, is going to automatically activate the numerical numbering, which we saw at the front end. Now, if for any reason I want to change it from that number to alphabetical numbering, then I need to introduce an attribute. And mind you, you are introducing the attribute inside. Let's hold on for her to join to avoid the asking.
So your speaker is mute. So you're mute.
Okay, so I was talking about introducing an attribute for us to be able to change the numbering. For example, from the current numerical numbering to maybe alphabetical numbering or Roman numbering. Now, for us to do that, you don't introduce the attributes in the sub list. You introduce the attribute to the principal tag. The principal tag here is the OL. So all these LI, they are children of OL. So and now that you know what is responsible for creating those markers, then if you introduce it here, you are wrong. You have to introduce it here. Now, to introduce an attribute, once you have gone inside that particular tag, you space first before you type the name of that attribute. And what is the attribute? It's type. So once you click on that type, remember I told us that an attribute comes in pairs. An attribute have the name section, which is separated with the assignment operator, the equals to sign that you have there. Now, what you have in the quotation is the value that you are assigning to the attribute. Now, that attribute type is to help us to define the type of the list marker or numbering. So by default, it's already on 1. So even if you select 1 and you check your front end, it won't make any difference because by default, whether you assign it or not on that one, it will give you what? This numbering automatically. Now, if I want to change it from numbering to alphabet, either capital letter alphabet or lowercase, now it then depends on you. So if I on my cap lock and type A, and then I check the front end again, you can see that I have been able to change all the lists to what? Alphabet. Did you get that now? Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Flourish, are you with us? I want to be sure that.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. So now, if I want lower alphabetical numbering or lowercase, I will just type lowercase alphabet. And then by the time you check the front end, it has also updated. So what we are doing right now is that we are changing the numbering type. That is what we are actually doing. We are changing the numbering type. Now we still have under order lists. There are 3 types of marker you can define. Remember, numbering is the default. Numbering is the default, then followed by alphabet, and then Roman figure. So I've explained numbering and alphabet. Now let's look at Roman figure. To change your numbering format to Roman figure, just type I as your attribute value. And then if you type capital letter I, that will give you capital letter what? Roman number. Now let's check the front end. You see that what? You have also changed the numbering. So these are what you can actually do with the type attribute. And this type attribute, it is only applicable to when you are using OL as one of the type of HTML listing elements. So once we get to UL now, we are going to introduce another way of updating the marker. What I am referring to as marker are simply all these numbering that help us to trace each of the lines. So if that is clear, now let's quickly look at the next type of HTML lists. So let me start by defining it, which is the on order list. The on order list. On order list. Now, the on order list, is used for listing where order does not matter. For example, here now, the first type we just concluded now, whenever you are using it, it means that you are concerned with the order of the items arrangement. But if your concern is not on the arrangement of the item, that is when you can use on order list. As the name implies, it means that what items are not orderly arranged. Now, it is denoted with UL. It is denoted with UL tag. So this is how you declare it. And then you can also mention the item with LI. So the same LI, the only difference is for you to start with what? UL. So how do we go about it? Let's look at the on order list declaration. For us to declare it, we simply type UL and then press enter. And then, for example, like I told us, is a container. So you expand it, and then you can copy all these list items to save my time. Copy them and paste them under it. So if I go to the front end, you will notice that the markers are different. Here you were using numbering, but here you are using bullets. Bullet means you are using shape to enhance the tracing of the lines. So, and by default, just like the way the other list gave us numbers by default, then by default, each time you activate the on other list, this is what you get. Am I communicating? Are we together? Let's always respond fast whenever I'm asking a question, so I will.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, the next thing we want to look at is what the on other list attributes. How do I change the sign? Just like the way we change the numbers. How do I change the sign? So that will not take us to on other lists. On other lists attributes. Or let's say we cannot call it attribute because here we are using CSS to update the marker instead of using an attribute. So we refer to it as on other lists style instead of attributes. Now, to achieve this, we are going to use CSS property called list-type. That is the CSS property we are going to use to change, to update the marker of our on other list. So to do that, all we need to do is to, let me introduce class so that I can differentiate one particular type from the other as we proceed. So let me name this one as, let's say I want to use cycle. I want to use cycle as my marker. So what I'm going to do, I will create my CSS. I think we have a CSS file already created, but we need to just link it to this page. So let me just connect it to this file. And then I think we have a CSS file here, or it's as if we don't have CSS. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let me use the the internal styling, where I will just create style in my head and then wrap all my CSS inside it. So right now I want to talk to a class element, which is dot cycle. That is the element I want to change its style. Now, like I said, we are using a CSS property called list-type. So we just type list. Once you type list, you are going to see it here like this. So once you click here, this is the default. So those small icons you are seeing here, their name is called disk. Now, if I update it from disk to cycle, because we said we want to use it to illustrate cycle style. So I will just type what? Cycle. Then if I go back to my front end, you see that what? I have updated the list marker. Now, let me just copy this particular code so that we can compare them as we proceed. So let me just take the whole of this, Ctrl+C, and then paste. And then I'm changing the class to square, which means I need square. I need square icon. So I'll go to my CSS. Sorry, yeah, my CSS, that is another selector dot square. dot square. So I will say list type, and then I will update the disk to square. And then let's check the front end. You see this is square shape. So another one we can use is we can actually use our own shape. Let's assume that is one of the benefits of on other lists, which you cannot perform with other lists. For example, this can appear to be too local to the person you are developing this website for. He may not like this kind of listing. He need all these check, all these fancy icon to be used as the list marker. So how do you go about that? You simply go to your internet and go and get that icon, then save it as an image inside your image folder. And then we use a particular CSS property to call it in. So let's quickly go and get the icon downloaded. Let me use Google Chrome. So let's say we need a check icon. So we need all these fancy icon to be used as my bullet. So let me right click, select save image as, then target that particular folder, which is on desktop. I think it should be Flourish class. Where is it now? Flourish class. So from here, I'll go to image. So let me just save it as check. Let me save it as check underscore icon. So now that I've saved it, the next thing I'm going to do is to go back to my editor and use a CSS property to call it in. So let me also copy this section, Control C, and paste. Then let me give it external icon. So that is what we are learning now, how to use external icon as my bullet. So I'll take this, Control C, then go to my CSS section, and then add dots because it's a class element, then declare your block. Then instead of using list item, you're going to use list style image because you are bringing an external image. So the only when you are to use this is when you want to call the default icon. But once you want to call the external icon, you have to use this. So once I click here, of course, it will now ask me to define the path. Where is that image coming from? But the property itself did not include that URL for me to reference the image. So what I will do manually, I will just type URL. I will attach it to it, meaning that I am bringing what is not in the program library. Then, of course, I will just comment inside it in order to output all the file item, and then I'll go to image. Remember, we save it with what? Check icon. So if I go to the front end now, that will have updated. I think it's this file. So you can see the pictures here, but they are too big. The icons are too big. So I need to resize the icon to a standard icon size so that they can fit in. And to do that, you are going to do that through an app called Paint. So once you edit it over there and resave it, it will automatically update the icon in your page. So how do I do that? I will just minimize and go straight to the folder where I saved that image. I think it's a Flourish class. This should be the folder. Then I'll go to the image folder itself. So this is the icon I want to reduce. So I will right click on that icon and then select open with. Select open with. In every window, you have this app. Whether you are running Windows 10 or Windows 11, you have this app. So just right click on the picture you want to resize and then select paint. It will automatically open it with paint. Now, what you do here is to resize it. Once you click on resize, you switch from this percentage unit to pixel. So this is the size that is too big that we have over there. So I will change it to like, let me put 20 and then click OK. Now, I don't want to update it. I don't want to reference the image again. I want in a situation whereby once I save it here, it will automatically update in my website. So for that, I will not have to save with another name, because if you go through this and select save as, it means that you are saving the image with another name, and which means that it requires you reassigning the URL before it can be updated. So for it to update automatically, what I will do, instead of going through this, I will just select this. In other words, save with the initial name that was used. So once I go back to my front end, it will have updated. Hope we understood it. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. So if it is clear, I will just take the definition list and then I will now allow us to, I will give us some of this as an assignment so that you can take your time to sort it out. But at least one of you will demonstrate a demo for me, either with an order list or other list before we close. So just make sure that you are following. Now, let's quickly talk about the next type of list. When I started, I mentioned that we have 3 types of HTML listing tag. We have OL, we have UL, and then we have definition list. So just to run through them. Okay, Flourish is out. So let's wait for her. All right, so I was talking about the last type of lists, which is the DL, which represents definition lists. Now, we actually use this type of lists for categorical listing. For example, you are given different products to be mentioned in the website where these products have different versions. Maybe you have t-shirts that is from Lagos, and you also have t-shirts from another state, and you want to differentiate them. They are all t-shirts, but there is a unique way you are differentiating the t-shirt from Lagos from t-shirt from, let's say, Port Harcourt. A practical example could be color. It could be color. Maybe you have color under red. You can mention different sets of colors that are related to red and so on. That is why I said this type of listing is for categorical listing. So now, there are also tags that are associated with this. And what are these tags? In the place of UL or OL, here it will be DL, which means what? Definition list. Now, in the place of LI, it will now be DT, DT. So DT is for data term, which means that the heading, first set of item you want to list. For example, I want to start with computer. And under computer, we have mouse, we have keyboard. So for you to mention those items, in the place of LI, you will now use DD, which means what? Data. This DD, it means that the data definition. Why this one is like to define the heading of the item you want to mention. So I will say, okay, we have mouse, then another DD, we have keyboard, another DD, we have, let's say, CPU. So these are the items under computer. Now you want to mention another categorical item. Once you are through with the first one, where you use...
So the DD is for what?
For data definition. Why the
Okay.
DT is for data time, which is the one that defines the categorical heading. Are you there?
No,
Now,
I don't understand.
Now, what we are doing here is that this listing is different from the other listing. Here, you did not segment the item. All the items are mates. That is what it means here. But here,
Okay.
you are segmenting some item. You are grouping some item. Like here now, you mentioned computer. Under computer, you have this item. That is the first set of item. Now, after the DT and the DD, you are introducing another DT. That means what? Now you want to mention another set of items. Let's say this time around you are mentioning a laptop. Okay, let's say laptops. Then under laptop, you use DD. You have maybe HP type of laptop, and then you also have another type of laptop, DD, let's say Toshiba. So with the code structure, you should be able to understand it better. Then DD, we have maybe Dell. So what has happened here is that these are the categorical item description, computer and what? Laptop. Under computer, you have all these sub items that are under it. So just like you are describing the set by set. I don't know if it is understood. Is it clear to everyone? Hello?
I understand what you're trying to say. Like, if I want to explain it now I want to explain it to someone now.
Okay.
What will I say is this DT? And what will I say is this DD?
Okay, now what did you know about UL? Let's maybe from this explanation you understand it. What did you achieve with UL? If you were following.
UL, you say is when you use UL when the thing is it's not in order.
Okay, now let's look at the functionality.
When the item is not in order.
You understand that. That is the purpose. But if we look at the functionality, this UL is the first container, right? Under it, you created this.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's the structure, right? Now, this DL is doing the same thing with what? UL. This DL is just like the container, just like the UL. Now, inside the UL, what do you have? You have LI, right? In order to mention item for what? The UL. Right?
Yes.
Now, that LI is like your DD. Are you getting it? That LI is your DD. Now, this DT is to give the item heading. It's like to give this LI heading so that once you see this heading, you will know what all these are all about. So you can see here, I have how many DT here? How many DT do we have? We have 2 what? DT. This is
2 DT.
Another one, which means that I'm describing what? 2 sets of items. Is that clear? I describe computer set. I also describe what? Laptop types. So that is why I started by saying that it is for categorical listing where you are grouping items into different category. But here now, all these are not grouped into category. They are all in one level. So this web dev has no different from, it's not a parent to this. They are both what? Child of what? Or children of UL. But here now, this mouse, keyboard, CPU, they are not children of lab. Hello. Hope it's clear to everybody now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's check the front end before I allow us. Now look at what you have here. Can you see the code here? You can see the indentation. All these items did not start from here. You can see it is quite obvious that all these, they are under computer. All these, they are under what? Laptop. So that is the difference between these 3 types of HTML listing. So if there is no question, then I will ask you some questions before we end it, and then I'll give you an assignment based on this. These are the only set of tags that I actually want to cover tonight. Are we together? So you will share your, I was asking,